Welcome to Sports Geek Throwback. Here's your host, the sports geek himself, Sean Callanan.
G'day, I am Sean Callanan from Sports Geek, and welcome to Sports Geek Throwback, where I pick out the best bits from the Sports Geek podcast archive. For this week's Sports Geek Throwback, I go back to episode 141 with Max Slavin, published back in April 2017. Max Slavin was at the Detroit Tigers in 2017 and is now senior manager, owned digital marketing at Minnesota Twins. Remember, if you need help with your digital marketing or sponsorship teams, please get in touch. That is what we do in applying the digital to dollars process to help your team build revenue. In this throwback episode, Mac and I discuss how sports teams use digital and social media to engage and grow passionate fan communities. Remember, you can listen to the full episode at sportsgeekhq.com/141.
I think the thing is, I guess the takeaway that I have is that, every team, I like to say team rather than brand, because I think sports is different, and treating the PBR stuff as a team, like the core fans, the fans that are in, and the fans then that adopt the digital platforms, whichever ones they are, they are very similar. Like they're just as passionate. That they comment as much or they retweet, and you sort of develop that, what I call your digital cheer squad. The people that when you put a tweet out, they'll retweet it, or they will adopt a hashtag quickly, or that you say, hey, take a photo from the stands, and they do that. I think the really interesting bit is the stuff you were talking about before, as you're transitioning a team to go to a newer market. That's when you're in that educational piece of, well, we've got to teach people about how awesome our sport is, or how awesome it is, which you're still doing now, how awesome it is to be at Comerica Park, because you've got a lot of people that go there, and so you're still in that education piece of, I'm going to show Comerica Park in the best light possible. We're going to make sure our Instagrams are 11 out of 10, but then you're also leaning on that digital cheer squad to amplify that and promote that to their friends, and that's where I always see similarities in fan groups. So yes, PBR might have a Midwestern demographic in Texas, and they might always be wearing cowboy boots and be different to the fan that's the Tigers fan. But when you get down to their core and you strip away some of the demo stuff, their actions and the way that they move and the way that they promote and the way that they, interact with the team, I find that to be very similar, and that's where I've been able to, take, I have used the phrase on this podcast before, steal with pride. Something that you've done really well over here with PBR can be applied and twisted and done the Tiger way. And then, you can apply it to your fans because that, they move in the same manner. And so, that's why I'm always interested in seeing, talking to, whether it be a music promoter or someone with a different brand and saying, well, what's work with you and your fans? Because elements of that or pieces of that will work with other fan groups. And so I think it's always good to be seeing what other fan groups are, how they're reacting to things, and seeing how then you can apply it to yours.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the things I love about sports, I talk, some of my other friends work in social for other brands, and they are always talking about brand ambassadors and how they're trying to get more brand ambassadors and things like that. And to be honest, in sports, your brand ambassadors, your biggest brand ambassadors are your biggest fans.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are just stoked and ready to go, and they're, for us, they're diehard Tigers fans or any other team, that type of thing. You said they'll share, they'll amplify, they'll go nuts, and you can't ask for more from a social standpoint.
Yeah, that's so true. And, I've spoken to a few people that, work in sports, like yourself, long hours, weekends, and all the things that come with sports. And then, I've had people say, I think I'm going to go to a corporate job and work in that digital space. And, talking to your friends who are in that space outside the world of sports, it's really tough. You've got to find those brand ambassadors, and no one puts their hand up and says, I love my bank. And then,
right.
and then the other thing is you don't have this, never-ending supply of killer content. You know that all you've got to do is have a gif of a home run shot, and there you go. You could just sit back and just watch the engagement come through. That's the really tough thing for corporate digital marketers to go. How do we engage people? And so you sort of get a free pass on that to a certain degree. You still got to work to get it and get the right content, the right platform, all of those things. But you get a free pass with that with sports, and that's something that's a big advantage of working in sports.
Yeah, I mean, part of social, especially digital, we always talk about the digital story or the social storytelling that you're doing.
Yep.
And from a sports standpoint, your story's always right in front of you. It could be something, whether it's 4 generations of fans at the ballpark, whether it's physically what's happening on the field, or maybe it's you even have an usher that has a really cool story. There's always kind of that story in front of you. It's you're more so trying to find that story. Sometimes it's a little more in front of you than not, like in the case of a home run or something like that. But rather than making up, not big brands, they're not making up stories, but they're trying to pull some stories out of thin air. And it's not that I don't want to say it's easier said than done, but personally, I just think it's a lot more fun to do it that way.
If you like this Sports Geek Throwback episode, please check out the full episode at sportsgeekhq.com. Please share Sports Geek with your sports business colleagues. We appreciate you sharing. We love working with podcast listeners. Please get in touch so we can help your team. Go to sportsgeekhq.com/phone call. All Sports Geek episodes are available at sportsgeekhq.com and all podcast platforms.